Have you ever paused to consider what it truly takes to find happiness during the final chapters of life? Is it about staying healthy, having financial security, or enjoying the companionship of a devoted spouse? Perhaps it's a combination of all these things, carefully balanced through the decisions we make today. What if I told you that the choices you make now, especially in how you prepare for old age, hold the power to determine whether your later years are filled with joy and fulfillment, or a quiet sense of regret? As we age, we often face challenges that are easy to overlook in the busyness of daily life. These challenges, whether they stem from managing health concerns, maintaining independence, or navigating complex family relationships, can suddenly become overwhelming if not addressed early. For many seniors, the reality of living with or near adult children or grappling with the loss of a partner can be particularly emotional. These are deeply personal struggles that often go unnoticed by others until it's too late to make a change. In today's discussion, we'll dive into these topics and uncover practical, heartfelt advice that can help you or your loved ones better prepare for the golden years. You'll learn how to maintain independence, build and nurture a strong relationship with your spouse, and ensure financial stability, even when life feels uncertain or presents its toughest trials. Along the way, we'll explore a moving real-life account of Margaret, a 68-year-old woman whose experiences offer profound lessons on love, family, and resilience. Her story serves as a powerful reminder of how our choices, both big and small, can shape the quality of our lives as we age. I invite you to stay with me until the end of this video, as the insights shared here might just help you avoid the pitfalls of aging in isolation, protect your happiness, and create a future where you're not merely surviving, but thriving. Whether you're planning your journey into later life or supporting someone close to you, this conversation is packed with wisdom that everyone should hear. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. If you're new here, I encourage you to subscribe and click the notification bell so you won't miss out on future discussions. Your support means so much to me, and if you find value in this video, please take a moment to like it and share it with others who might benefit from these lessons. Lastly, I'd love to hear from you. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment with a number 1. If it doesn't, comment 0, and let me know how I can make these videos even better for you. Now, let's begin this important journey together. The happiness experienced in the final years of life often rests on the companionship of a devoted spouse. It is a shared joy, built together over decades, and deeply rooted in mutual respect, understanding, and love. This type of happiness is unique because it is cultivated through shared experiences and the strength of a partnership that has weathered life's many storms. However, as the years pass and the threshold of 75 approaches, an age often associated with the realities of declining health and mortality, it becomes even more important to consider how to prolong this shared happiness. What steps can couples take to ensure their later years are fulfilling and joyful? The importance of mental clarity and self-control. One of the first pillars of a fulfilling life in later years is maintaining a clear mind and exercising control over words and actions. Without these, even the most loving relationships can be strained. A poignant example comes from Jack, a young man in his early 20s, who was tasked with caring for his grandmother, Margaret, who was suffering from dementia. Jack's parents believed it was his duty to help care for Margaret, but the daily reality of this responsibility quickly became overwhelming. Margaret, who had once been a vibrant and loving figure in Jack's life, now displayed erratic behaviors. On some days, she would sit motionless, staring blankly at the walls like a statue. On other days, she was combative, shouting and arguing over minor things. Despite eating 6 meals a day, Margaret often told neighbors she was being starved, further straining Jack's emotional resilience. Her room carried a persistent unpleasant odor, and she frequently wandered off, leaving the family to search the neighborhood in a panic. These challenges took a severe toll on Jack's mental health and his ability to focus on his future. Frustrated and exhausted, he once exclaimed, "What did I do to deserve this burden? It feels like a punishment for something I can't even remember doing." This experience highlights a hard truth. The popular adage, having an elderly person in the home is like having a treasure, isn't always true for every family. When an elderly individual loses their mental clarity, they often place unintended burdens not only on their children but also on their spouse, who is typically their primary caregiver. The emotional toll of caregiving. In many cases, the spouse of an elderly individual with a cognitive or chronic illness shoulder an immense emotional burden. Diseases like dementia, for example, can be even more taxing than physical ailments. Picture this. Mary, a devoted wife in her late 70s, spends hours cleaning and tidying her home. Minutes later, her husband, George, unintentionally undoes all her work, scattering food, spilling drinks, and leaving waste on the floor. The emotional toll of these repeated incidents can leave even the most patient spouse feeling defeated. In contrast, when both partners maintain their mental clarity and autonomy, life in their later years takes on a far more positive and harmonious tone. They can support each other, share responsibilities, and remain optimistic, creating a nurturing environment for themselves and their loved ones. Building happiness on a foundation of health and adaptability. As the writer Alex Vin aptly said, human happiness can only be built on the foundation of physical health and peace of mind. This sentiment rings especially true for aging couples. A healthy body is often linked to a healthy mind. Even when faced with minor health challenges, couples who are proactive about their care, whether it's adhering to treatment plans or making lifestyle adjustments, tend to recover faster and maintain a more positive outlook. However, independence in old age isn't just about physical health. It's also about adaptability and the willingness to embrace change. In today's fast-paced, technology-driven world, seniors who resist learning new skills risk being left behind. For example, those who are unfamiliar with smartphones may struggle with basic tasks such as scheduling doctor's appointments, shopping for groceries, or navigating transportation services. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The role of modern skills in aging well. Take the story of Henry, a retired teacher in his early 80s who embraced technology to stay self-sufficient. Not only does Henry use his smartphone to manage his medical appointments, but he also helps his neighbors, many of whom are unfamiliar with technology, book their own. Henry's independence and willingness to adapt have allowed him to lead an active and fulfilling life, serving as a role model for others in his community. In contrast, some of his peers, while physically healthy, remain unable to manage their daily tasks simply because they haven't kept up with modern tools. This lack of adaptability can lead to frustration, isolation, and an unnecessary reliance on others. Ultimately, maintaining a fulfilling life in old age requires a combination of good health, mental clarity, and the ability to evolve with the times. By cultivating these qualities, couples can continue to support and uplift each other, ensuring that their golden years truly shine. I have an elderly neighbor, Mr. Jameson, who is a shining example of how good health and a proactive mindset can make a difference in old age. Not only is Mr. Jameson in excellent health, but he also dedicates his time to helping other seniors in our community. He knows how to use his smartphone to book medical appointments and even helps others choose doctors based on their needs. He frequently drives his elderly neighbors to the hospital, patiently guiding them through the often confusing healthcare system. Initially, these responsibilities were handled by their children, but Mr. Jameson has taken it upon himself to assist those who lack such support. However, not everyone is as independent and resourceful as Mr. Jameson. Many elderly couples, even those with relatively good health, struggle to navigate the demands of modern life. For some, stepping outside their comfort zone, whether to shop, commute, or use technology, can feel overwhelming, as if they are out of sync with the pace of the world. This disconnect often leads to difficulties in self-care and managing the daily necessities of life. The importance of financial independence. Another vital component of aging gracefully is a solid financial foundation. Let's face it, without money, it's challenging to maintain independence. The best scenario for aging couples is when both have pensions or at least enough savings to avoid relying on their children for financial support. This financial independence not only relieves pressure on family dynamics but also enables couples to enjoy life on their terms. From a young age, planning for the future and saving consistently can make all the difference. Spending wisely, bit by bit, and avoiding the trap of handing over all your savings to your children ensures long-term security. Financially independent couples can enjoy simple pleasures together, like cooking meals, taking evening walks, or going to doctor's appointments hand in hand. They also have the freedom to invest in their health, learn new things, and explore hobbies, setting an example for others in the community. Rekindling intimacy and preserving youthfulness. Financial and physical independence is important, but maintaining emotional and romantic intimacy is equally essential for a fulfilling relationship in old age. Take a moment to reflect. How long has it been since you said a loving word to your spouse? When was the last time you truly looked into their eyes and appreciated the years you've spent together? Has it been decades since your last getaway together? Many couples, even those sharing the same home, live like distant neighbors, with little connection beyond routine conversations. Even in old age, couples need moments of tenderness to reignite the spark of their youth. A saying I cherish comes to mind. Kissing is like a private bank where genuine love and understanding are stored, ready to be withdrawn for happiness and joy. In this analogy, both spouses are like savings accounts, with love as the deposit that sustains their emotional wealth. Even in their golden years, couples should express their emotions openly and generously. A kiss on your spouse's wrinkled cheek, a gentle stroke of their hair, or a playful comment about their growing gray hairs and white beard can bring warmth and connection. When you're out together, hold hands instead of walking apart, and when the moment feels right, embrace each other. Don't limit yourselves to casual interactions within the neighborhood. Physical closeness and small gestures of affection go a long way in maintaining emotional intimacy. A community example of love in old age. One of my neighbors, Mr. Lewis, provides a heartwarming example of how love continues to blossom in later years. Mr. Lewis isn't much of a dancer, but every evening, he goes to the local community square to watch the dance group. His friends, Mr. and Mrs. Benson, couldn't help but tease him, saying, "If you don't like dancing, why do you come to watch every night?" With a shy smile, Mr. Lewis replied, "Because Mrs. Benson is in the dance group." That one heartfelt comment moved Mrs. Benson to tears, showing how even small acts of devotion can mean so much. Even in their 60s and beyond, couples still crave the feeling of being in love. They can look at each other for hours without growing tired, enjoying a bond that feels as fresh as when they first met. Expressions of love don't have to be extravagant. Sometimes, simply saying, "I love you" regularly or whispering sweet words every day can nurture the relationship. Love, intimacy, and understanding are the cornerstones of a happy and fulfilling partnership, no matter the age. By nurturing these connections, couples can keep their relationship vibrant and their hearts young, proving that romance doesn't have to fade with time. In the past, people used to say that reaching the age of 70 was as rare as finding a precious gem. In those days, living in such an age was considered a remarkable blessing. However, today, with advancements in healthcare and living standards, reaching the age of 70 or even 80 has become relatively common. What has changed is the need to shift our focus from merely living longer to living better. The quality of life, especially in the years after 75, should be the real goal. For couples, this means maintaining a united spirit, supporting each other through difficulties, and finding joy in the companionship that comes from a lifetime of shared experiences. If they can achieve this, it is indeed a triumph, a testament to enduring love and resilience. When you've weathered the storms of life, endured challenges together, and come home to the warmth of a loving spouse, you've found one of life's greatest fortunes. For those fortunate enough to have a partner by their side after 75, the combination of health, love, and understanding becomes the foundation of happiness in these later years. Unfortunately, not everyone is granted such blessings. Life often unfolds in unexpected ways, and the challenges of aging, particularly for those who find themselves living alone, can be daunting. In the next part, I will share a poignant story, one that will resonate deeply with anyone grappling with family relationships, financial pressures, and the realities of growing older. It is the journey of Linda, a 68-year-old woman whose experiences offer valuable lessons about love, pensions, and intergenerational dynamics. Stay with me as we delve into her story. Linda's story. Struggles with family and financial independence. Linda is 68 years old and living on a modest pension of $300 per month. She has one son, Ethan, who is 40 years old, and a daughter-in-law, Emily. Both Ethan and Emily work hard but have unstable incomes and often struggle to make ends meet. Linda, being a loving and devoted mother, has always worried about her son's well-being. Over the years, she has supported Ethan and his family financially, even when it came at a cost to her comfort and security. When Linda's husband, Robert, was alive, the two of them combined their pensions, which totaled about $600 a month. They lived frugally, saving whenever they could, while still helping Ethan and Emily whenever they faced financial hardships. Unfortunately, Robert became seriously ill, and their savings, over $8,000, were quickly depleted to cover medical expenses. After Robert passed away, Linda's pension was reduced by half, leaving her with $300 per month. Despite her reduced income, Linda continued to send half of her pension to Ethan to help with his household expenses. This left her own finances stretched thin. She often worried about what would happen if she faced a serious illness herself, knowing she would have no safety net. After months of reflection, she decided she couldn't continue living this way. Linda realized she needed to set aside money for her own needs while also finding a way to support her son without jeopardizing her security. The decision to move in with her son's family. Linda had been living alone in a spacious 3-bedroom apartment with 2 living rooms. It was far more space than she needed, and she saw it as a missed opportunity. Renting out the apartment could bring her an additional $200 to $250 a month, significantly improving her financial situation. This money, combined with her remaining pension, would allow her to save for emergencies while still supporting Ethan. She imagined this as the perfect solution. She could move in with her son's family, contribute financially, and rent out her apartment to generate extra income. From Linda's perspective, this plan was a win-win situation. She could help Ethan and Emily while saving for herself, ensuring that everyone benefited. Encouraged by this idea, she approached Ethan and Emily with her proposal. However, things didn't go as smoothly as she had hoped. Emily was strongly opposed to the idea of Linda moving in, expressing concerns about privacy and the potential for conflict between 2 generations living under one roof. While Ethan was sympathetic to his mother's needs, he also hesitated, caught between his wife's objections and his desire to help Linda. Unable to persuade Emily, Linda's plan to move in was temporarily shelved, leaving her to grapple with the realities of living alone on a tight budget. When I told my son, Ethan, and my daughter-in-law, Emily, about my decision to move in with them, I was met with strong resistance, primarily from Emily. She was firm in her opposition, stating that she wasn't accustomed to living with her mother-in-law and believed that having two generations under one roof would inevitably lead to conflict. While Ethan tried to mediate, Emily's resistance was unyielding, and my plans to move in with them were put on hold. About a month later, one evening after dinner, I began to feel lightheaded and weak. Before I knew it, I collapsed and lost consciousness. When I finally came to, I realized how dire my situation was. I felt utterly helpless, barely able to move, and unable to stand. My body felt like it was giving up on me. I knew something was seriously wrong, and I needed help immediately. Desperate to save my life, I struggled to reach my phone, which was on the bedside table. It felt like a monumental task, but I kept trying, knowing it was my only chance. After what felt like an eternity, I managed to grab the phone. At first, I thought about calling an ambulance, but then it hit me, even if help arrived, I wouldn't have the strength to unlock the door for them. I decided to call Ethan instead, praying he would answer quickly. Thankfully, he did. When I told him what had happened, he rushed over and took me to the hospital. The doctor's diagnosis was hypoglycemia, which had caused me to lose consciousness. The doctor also said that if I had arrived any later, I might not have survived. This incident shook me to my core. Living alone suddenly felt terrifying. I couldn't stop thinking about what might happen if I had another episode like this. What if next time, I wasn't able to reach my phone? The fear of being completely alone in a medical emergency became unbearable. A new proposal. Determined to ensure my safety, I approached Ethan and Emily again with a revised plan. I offered to give them my entire pension if they would let me move in. In addition, I proposed selling my house and splitting the proceeds, half for myself and half for them. My house was spacious and valuable, estimated to sell for about $75,000. This plan, I thought, would not only secure my future but also provide significant financial relief for Ethan and Emily. To my surprise, Emily was thrilled with this proposal. Her initial resistance disappeared, replaced by enthusiasm for the financial benefits it offered. Not long after, I sold my house and moved in with them. The sale brought in $75,000, and I handed $37,500 to Ethan and Emily, keeping the other half for myself as a safety net. Holding that money gave me a renewed sense of confidence. I was hopeful about this new chapter of my life, surrounded by family and enjoying the comfort of being close to my son. At first, life with Ethan and Emily was pleasant. They treated me kindly, spoke to me gently, and even shared their best meals with me. For a while, I felt content, even wondering if I should have sold the house and moved in with them sooner. Those early days were filled with a sense of belonging and familial warmth. But unfortunately, the harmony didn't last. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The shift in Emily's behavior. Over time, Emily's attitude toward me began to sour. The shift was subtle at first but became increasingly noticeable. It started with small disagreements about household tasks. I often found her approach to cleaning and organizing inadequate. Her method seemed disorganized, slow, and careless. One particular habit that bothered me deeply was her use of laundry detergent to wash dishes and vegetable rinse water to mop the floors. I couldn't stay silent about this, as I believed these practices were unhygienic and posed a risk to everyone's health. I confronted Emily about these issues, explaining that laundry detergent contains chemicals unsuitable for dishes and that vegetable rinse water, often tainted with pesticide residue, wasn't safe for cleaning floors. But instead of listening, Emily brushed off my concerns, saying, "My mother has done this her whole life, and she's perfectly healthy." Frustrated, I turned to Ethan, hoping he would back me up and persuade Emily to change her ways. But when Emily found out I had involved Ethan, her resentment toward me grew. Emily began to openly express her displeasure, often making passive-aggressive comments and eventually avoiding me altogether. It became clear that she wished I wasn't living with them. Losing my son's support. Initially, Ethan stood by me during disputes with Emily. He reprimanded her for being disrespectful and reminded her of the importance of honoring elders. But as their arguments became more frequent, Emily's patience wore thin. She eventually declared that she couldn't handle living with me any longer and began talking about divorce. Ethan didn't take her threats seriously at first, thinking she was speaking out of frustration. But when Emily filed for divorce, he realized how serious she was. Terrified of losing his wife, Ethan told me he couldn't continue mediating between us. He explained that if Emily left, I would be left alone again, and he couldn't bear the thought of that. But at the same time, he felt powerless to keep the peace. His words broke my heart. "Mom, I just can't take sides anymore. I need to focus on saving my marriage." With those words, I lost the support I had been counting on. For the first time, I realized how fragile my position in their home was. Without Ethan's backing, I was completely alone in the household, and the warmth I had initially felt seemed like a distant memory. As you followed Linda's journey, what lessons have stood out to you the most? Whether it's the importance of financial independence, maintaining harmony in family dynamics, or the value of planning for a secure and fulfilling old age, there's so much we can take away from her experiences. Life in our later years can be full of joy and fulfillment, but it requires foresight, adaptability, and a strong foundation of love and understanding. Now, I'd like to hear from you. What is one thing you've learned from this story that you will bring to practice in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We can all learn from each other's perspectives and wisdom. If you found this video meaningful, please leave a comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us continue sharing stories and lessons that inspire and empower people to live their best lives. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.